Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in to this week's episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Today we have Dillan Foss with us. I'm going to let Dillan introduce himself, and then we're going to get started.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Anthony. I'm excited to be here. Fatherhood Fitness, very much in line with what I do, what I believe in. I don't know if you can see my hat here. Healthy dad, hard worker. Basically, I'm a certified athletic trainer. I got my bachelor's degree in that, got my master's degree in nutrition for human performance. I live here in South Florida. I have one little guy right now. He's 2. And I'm just trying to lead from the front, right? Just trying to set a good example for him. And once I realized how insanely hard fatherhood is, I became very empathetic to the fact that a lot of guys out there who don't have the knowledge that I have or someone like yourself has, it could be very easy to get lost in career and family and lose sight of your health. So I kind of geared my whole online approach to helping people that don't live near me, can't afford in-person services, from like the sports medicine and training, background that I have, and could potentially do something that's more in line with training from a distance, the smart way, the efficient way, not the bodybuilding and then endless cardio concepts that everyone kind of sees online. So that's the mission I'm on, just trying to help other dads and lead from the front by doing it myself, basically.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we were talking before the show here. Dillan is a Patriots fan. I am from Kansas City, and so don't worry though, we're both fans of the game, so no arrows being slung at each other here. But Dillan, with your degrees, so in athletic training, nutrition, and everything, I know you said you have a 2-year-old. Me personally, and maybe you found it different. I think that I have 3 young kids right now, and I found it very difficult when my oldest was born to kind of find a routine, and because there was this balance between, yes, we still have time, like we can trade off, have your wife take the kids, do this, you can trade off, but then there's this other side of you where you feel kind of guilty, right? You feel guilty doing that, and you feel like you don't want to miss things as well. And not saying that as you have more kids, you're less emotional, I guess, but you start to figure out a better balance. And so for you're still in pretty early stages of this year. How did you, when you said it was a son, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So when your son was first born, how did you initially adapt to getting back into a routine, and how has that changed over the past couple of years?
That's a great question. The initial balance, I'll say this, required both me and my wife, we're not married, I apologize, but it's easier to say that, to just prioritize it. And the fact that both of us do prioritize it made it easier for the other one to do the same, right? So if I had, had a kid with somebody who wasn't so in line with that,
they
wouldn't have, 1, set the intention themselves, and 2, they wouldn't see the value in them being left alone with the kid and me having my time to work out, right?
Yeah.
So that plays a massive factor, first and foremost. Second to that, it was like, whatever time you do have, you have to take advantage of. I always tell people it's like the greatest motivator is having a kid, because when all of a sudden your amount of free time just plummets off a cliff, right? And so anything that you need to get done, you're going to feel better on the other side of it, and you have such a limited window, so you just have to do it. There's no other opportunity. So we would work out sometimes while the baby was sleeping in the little bassinet. It would be in the garage. He's sleeping and we're both working out in the garage together, just trying to break a sweat. And if it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. If it's 40 minutes, it's 40 minutes. Take what you get, make the most of it. And being in the field obviously makes it a little easier.
Right.
But if you have a job that's a little more strict, like 9 to 5, then that's kind of where I've changed now. I work out very early in the morning. So I'll wake up and I just get it in
Hmm.
as early as I can. Now, are my workouts as good? No, they're not. They're not the same. Waking up at 5 and then starting a workout at 5:15 does
Right.
not get you like razzed up. You're not in peak performance mode by any means,
Yeah.
but you're doing the maintenance work, and when you do feel good, you can push the envelope a little bit. So it's really about just prioritizing it. It's about having the same priority as your significant other, and I would say now, the thought of like having a second one, how does you got to go back into the trenches essentially. There's this whole other concept of like, okay, well, I got to get back to that same place where it has to happen. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to follow a perfect program necessarily, but I'll get it in when I can, you know? So that's kind of how I've approached it. That's how I've gotten through this phase. And I can't imagine if I wasn't in shape, having someone under 2 years old and improving that first 2 years would be insanely difficult. You know.
Yeah, you said a lot of good things there. Sorry, I'm keep having to mute myself there. I'm having like a coughing attack here, but a couple things I wanted to touch upon there. The first thing you said was that you had a routine before your son was born, and I think that that is something that's really important. And so if you're listening right now and you don't quite have kids yet, that is something I think is really important to establish,
Yep.
because if you haven't already identified exercise as a priority for you, you're going to find every reason not to do it when you have kids, right? You're going to you can literally make a list of 100 things that you should be doing other than working out, right? So the fact that you're able to have a plan beforehand, or have a a strategy, and then you can just adapt it when you do have kids, makes it much easier. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch upon is you said that your wife was super supportive of you and you had aligned goals. This is something that, in working with dads, I'm sure you hear this a lot too, is, and unfortunately, it's very common where couples aren't on the same page. They don't align, and just their beliefs. They're not, and again, unfortunately, they're just not super supportive of
Mhm.
each other. And so I think this, I mean, this is probably a bigger issue than just finding time to work out. It comes down to communication. The better communicators we are, the better, like, one, it's going to improve our relationships. It's going to improve the way we parent. It's going to improve our job performance. And so working on communication, but communicating, why it's important to you. And I think, I think a lot of dads don't really, and maybe I'm stereotyping here, but I've been around enough of them to know that we don't necessarily think maybe our feelings matter about this, or we struggle being vulnerable, and so we're kind of afraid to ask for help in some of these situations, and then we just kind of push it on. Oh, I'll be fine. Oh, I'll be fine. Oh, I'll be fine. But then it's 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and all of a sudden I'm we're working with clients who tell me about their routine, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what they used to do. They're trying to get back into it. I'm like, oh, well, when did you last follow this routine? Oh, when I was in high school. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, what can we do now? We're probably not going to be able to jump back into the 5x5 strength training workout your football coach had you do. And it's like, but we can figure out where you are now. And I think that's where, like, great communication is. And this is something that I've admitted to, that I wasn't great at when my oldest was born. I wasn't great at letting my wife work out. I was really good at getting my workouts in, but I wasn't great about scheduling time. And that's something that I still have to I still have to be intentional about. And so we have to sit down. We have to figure out. We're looking at the schedule, and ideally, before you have kids, when you're in college, when you're first married or something, you could go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe a Tuesday. It's like, it really doesn't matter. You can follow a routine. But now that you have kids, you're probably not going to be able to work out the same exact time every single week. And so I think that's where communication comes in. So how do you and your uh, spouse, how do you guys communicate that? How do you kind of navigate that?
Well, luckily, we're both in the industry technically, right?
Okay.
So she owns and not owns, she runs and manages a Pilates studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she has a flexible job on the outside, so she's two jobs. All the kudos to her, right? She's got a full time job, and she has, which is in the field of like physical therapy, sales, marketing, and
Okay.
then she runs and manages a Pilates studio that she opened with a friend, over the last year.
Okay.
And so sometimes she's at the studio and she can just hop in a class, and her full time job is a little flexible in the sense that, she can take a class, that wouldn't be a normal like family time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I very much have to, because I have a very busy in person schedule as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I've geared more of my workouts to the morning so that it's not interrupting family time, right? It's
Yeah.
before he gets up. It's basically never at night because as soon as I get home from work, I know that I'm toast,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then it's bedtime, then it's bath time, it's sorry, dinner time, bath time, bedtime, and
Right.
you just you have to figure out what you're actually going to be able to stick to. We very much communicate about it, but we've we've got enough of a flexible schedule where we can kind of get it in when we want to. Now
Yeah.
we both work on the weekends a little bit too. So if I work Saturday morning, then I know when I get home, she's been with him all morning.
Mm-hmm.
She'll work out and then we'll flip flop and then I will. And then vice versa. Sunday morning, she's teaching classes all morning. So when she gets home, I might work out and then flip flop, she'll go work out.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very much about communicating. It's very much about like, well, if I get to, then you should be able to.
Yeah.
Uh, it, we don't have to be super rigid, thankfully, just because we kind of make our schedules a little flexible. That's just our lifestyle. But if we had 9 to 5 jobs, I can imagine it'd be much harder.
Right. Right. And yeah, and you already mentioned like it works best for you to get the workout in the morning because you're not one to run into family time, and that's you don't have to work out in the morning, but if you're wanting to spend time with your kids, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're getting home and you're going to the gym either right before dinner or after dinner, your kids, if they're young, they're going to bed pretty early. You're not spending much time with them. And so I think that's especially as a young dad, especially as a dad with young kids, you almost have to make that sacrifice, right? If you almost have to make that sacrifice to get up a little bit earlier. And like you mentioned earlier, it's not going to look the same. It's not going to be a great workout, right? You're probably not going to have the energy at 5:30 in the morning as you do at 2:30 in the afternoon, right? But that's what you're dealing with right now. That's your situation, right? And you can complain and just hope things change, but or you can just make the best of it.
Suck it up and do it. Honestly, it's like you can't. You could sit here and bitch and moan about, well, I can't do blah blah blah. You got to figure out when the hell it works, and you got to do it. And if you get 30 minutes in from 5:30 to 6, 4 days a week, you can still make progress there.
Yeah.
There's definitely enough time to make progress. So here's the other thing: if you didn't let your health slide and slip down the slippery slope so far, you wouldn't have to climb back up so far either.
Mm,
And it would be much easier to maintain during this 0 to 2 phase of your children, growing
mm,
up,
yeah.
because you're not feeling like, oh my God, look at this hole I have to climb out of to get to the, normal health.
Hmm.
So regardless of where you are, just start, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to get any easier. You're not going to get less busy. You're not
Yeah.
going to have less kids. You're, if you're going to have kids, you're going to have kids. If you already have kids, you already have kids. You
Yeah.
have to start.
Yeah.
And if you start now, in 2 years, it's going to be easier. But if you wait and go, oh, well, I'll get through this phase and then I'll really start to worry about it. You're going to kick that can down the road for 15, 20, 25 years. Then your kids are out of the house and you want to retire, but you can't do anything with your body, even if you get to travel and
Yeah.
do whatever you want with your time. So that's another, whole different caveat. But it just, it sucks to see people fall into it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think everyone's kind of misguided and misinformed. And so the other big part of it's nutrition. You could lose a bunch of weight and get healthy, with very minimal exercise, but completely changing how you eat too. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Um, and then sleep. I would say sleep is the other thing that most people, so if we actually looked at it, right? And I try to make this comparison. How many hours after the sun goes down do most people go to sleep? I would say, I don't know. Well, if you're living in a cold environment, sun goes down at like
Yeah.
2:30.
I was like, most of my day.
um, but if you looked at it that way, right? The sun goes down. Technically, our internal clock is starting to wind down, right?
Hmm.
But we'll stay up for 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes. If
Yeah.
especially, I grew up in New England. The sun goes down at 4 p.m. I'm up till
Yeah.
11, right? But I'm never willing to wake up 7 hours before the sun comes up, right?
Right.
I'm never willing to wake up 4 hours before the sun comes up. So we're also in this weird, uh, like societal norm where we're just out of balance. Like I wear a Whoop all the time. I notice that
Hmm.
if I go to bed between 8:30 and 9, my recovery is 85% or
Hmm.
higher every single time. If I go to bed after 9:15,
Hmm.
it's in the dumps every time.
Hmm.
And I could I can go to bed later and wake up later and it's still in the dumps. But if I go to bed at a normal time and I wake up at a consistent time before 9 o'clock, I go to sleep and wake up, 4:30 to 5.
Yeah.
Way better recovery because technically it's just more in line with uh,
Yeah.
circadian rhythm.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever noticed anything like that, but I always think about it when people are like, I don't have time, I can't wake up, I'm too tired. Well, go to bed early, start that habit.
Yeah. 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 No, I think that's really interesting. You were talking about how, kind of starting right now. I think we have this idea in our heads a lot of times where like how things are right now is how they'll always be. Like if
Mhm.
you have a 2 year old son, like it was probably a little bit more hectic when he was first born, right? And a year from now it'll probably be a little less hectic. They start to become more independent and stuff, and so it's like right now you may not be able to work out 3 or 4 days a week. But could you get 2 30-minute workouts in a week? Could you get one in on a Wednesday, one in on a Saturday? And it's like we do that for a year. You just got 100 hours in of working out in for the year, and you really didn't have to change your life at all, right? You just gave up one Netflix episode,
Yeah.
and with the sleep, I think that's I think that's probably one of the most difficult things because it affects everything, right? When we don't get enough sleep, we don't have the energy to do our workouts. We're not feeling good. We're feeling hungrier throughout the day. We start craving things. And you mentioned the Whoop band. I remember it was probably 2016 maybe. Maybe a little before that, like when Whoop first came out, maybe before that, and it was. I was really interested. I never actually had one at the time. I think you could just buy it. Now it's like a subscription service. I'm pretty. You know more than I do, but I find these trackers fascinating. I have an Apple Watch. Obviously, yours has different capabilities and stuff. With the trackers, and maybe I don't know if your clients use them or just from your own experience on nights you don't get enough sleep and you wake up in the morning and you see your stats in the morning. How does that affect your day? How does that affect your day? Do you notice like, oh, I didn't recover well, oh, I didn't sleep well last night, it's going to be a rough day today?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that placebo effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely am more conscientious of like I might change my workout a little bit and be a little less intense.
Mm-hmm.
I might Depending on how bad it is, I might even forego like a sauna and ice, cold
Mm,
plunge session because that's just gonna be too much of a stressor on my body.
mm,
I may try to sneak in a nap, even if it's in my car for 10 minutes. Um, all those things definitely play a factor. I try to avoid like the oh shit, like today's gonna suck thing.
mm-hmm.
I can kind of talk
Yeah.
myself out of that.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm definitely more cognizant of the decisions I make that day. And I may notice that I'm like overeating or want to overeat a little bit,
Yeah.
like tone that down and go, okay,
Mm-hmm.
be conscious of that.
Yeah.
I try not to reach for a second cup of coffee. That's another tough one where you're like,
Yeah.
it's 9 a.m. Already had one,
Yeah.
use three more, but I try not to.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely think there's definitely a little bit of a placebo effect. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
the same way? Do you get that way?
Yeah, and so that's what I find curious about some of these things. Kind of like the scale. Um, to me, it's just something you do every day. You know what I mean? You just wake up in the morning, you stand on the scale and stuff. And so it's like, and that's why I try and get my clients to do it. It's just like, this is data. This is data. The more data we have, the better informed decision we can make moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take your waist measurements, you take progress, but you take all these things just for data. Is what we're doing working, right?
Yeah.
I know I found I used to get really caught up. I downloaded some apps before. This is before they have everything on your wrist and stuff. You had to like lay your phone on your bed and
Oh,
stuff like this, so it'd track your movements at night and stuff, and
huh?
end up knocking your phone off. But it I noticed like I sometimes I would get too caught up in it,
Mm-hmm.
where I would be like, oh, I only got 6 hours of sleep last night. Like today's gonna be right. And then like after, I'm like, well, the reason I'm tired, the reason I'm dragging is because I only got 6 hours of sleep. And then for a long time, I was like, I'm just not gonna look at it. If I look at how much sleep I got, I'm only gonna look at it at the end of the day.
That's
And
smart.
so, I'll look at it at the end of the day because there's been a couple of days where I was like, man, I felt great today, had great energy, and I looked at it and it was like, you got 5 hours and 42 minutes, and I was like, what? But and so like, sometimes I think it can kind of mess with you, like kind of like information overload here, and
Yes.
that kind of leads me into my next question for you when it comes to you were mentioning earlier about how like your plan's going to change. Your plan's going to change as you have kids. We have your schedule is going to be different. Your nutrition is going to be different. All this stuff's going to be different. We have everything we could ever want to learn for free online right now. Not just with Google. We've had Google forever, but now we have like Chat GPT that can create all these programs. We can do all these things. AI is taking over everything, and I have found that with a large section of people, it can almost be like too much. It can be kind of debilitating. There's so much information. There's so much. Now we've got this diet or that diet. We've got this workout, that workout. Someone told me to do 11 reps, but if I do 13, and it's like we have all this information.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that, and how do you structure it in a way where your clients can actually apply it?
It's a great question. I call it paralysis by overanalysis, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you choose to do nothing because it seems like you have the option to do everything.
Yeah.
Um, I have boiled down all of my biggest fitness and nutrition principles into this like onboarding blueprint PDF that basically lays out what they are and what
Mm-hmm.
should the focus be. So whenever I work with a client, I try to teach and educate from like the simplest, most foundational level and add
Mm-hmm.
complexity. And whenever I have a client that's like, "Oh, I saw this exercise on Instagram. What should I do that?" Usually, I'm like, "No, it's fucking retarded." Because most of the time, people just the social media overload of exercises is ridiculous, and so many of them just require so much body awareness that even people in the industry like have trouble doing.
Yeah.
But if it we're working with people who don't have that amount of knowledge, that don't have that amount of maybe body awareness, you just have to boil it down to like basic principles, right? And so, when I teach nutrition, I tell them the quality of the food is massive. That's your foundation. If you're not eating quality food, let's not nitpick on like what time you're eating or what supplement you're adding in, or how many grams of carbohydrates you should have in like the matter of 10 difference. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
focus on the quality of the food you're eating, and then we can choose to focus on something else from there. So I try to give people like basic principles, and then from a fitness standpoint, it was like really goal oriented, right? What is your focus? Because if you have a 55-year-old woman who's a client, she's got much different goals than a 35-year-old guy, and one of them might be trying to lose weight while the other one's trying to gain. So
Mm-hmm.
everything really boils down to the person and the individual, and I just try to educate my clients as much as possible, because
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can get the X's and O's from the internet and from Chat GPT, the big thing that's always missing is the why,
Yeah.
right? And so if you talk through the why with the person and you make them understand it, I think it clicks, and I think there's more of a desire and drive to follow that path, or to follow
Mm-hmm.
that program put in place. I don't know if any of that made sense, or that's what you were trying to get out of me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I was trying to pull out my notes while you were talking there because I was on a call. I was on a call earlier this week uh, where I was watching a video and it exactly what you were talking about there. How kind of the simple things, like we look at all these things there. We find all these exercises that look really cool, and we see other people doing them. But what I wrote down from this other call I was on was that as soon as you stop doing the boring stuff, you're going to go backwards. The boring work produces the breakthroughs, and so I think that's the difference between maybe you and me and somebody who's just starting in fitness. Like somebody who's been in it for a long time understands that you kind of keep doing the same things over and over again, right? You don't. I mean, you mix things up from here to here. You have phases and things, but like you're going to do a push, you're going to do a pull, you're going to do you're going to do all these things, you're going to do a squat, you're going to do a hinge, and it's like there's really like it's really like I think that's the difference whether like it comes down. I mean, as a dad, like repetition, right? Like you can't tell your kids the first time, like, hey, like we're not supposed to do that, or hey, let's try this. It's like you're gonna have to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until they understand it and they're able to apply it, right? And the same thing goes for your workouts, right? We're gonna do the squat. Every Monday or every whatever it is, you're gonna do a bit. You're gonna learn it. It's like, well, when do we switch it up? Well, never. And it's like we're
Here's the
gonna have.
people. Yeah, no, you're dead on, because like most of the time, if you're just getting started, or even if you're 5 years into working out, your squat's still probably shit. From like, if we're talking about like reaching perfection and like improving at the 1 percentile, it's like everyone wants to work out like the athlete, but they don't realize that the athlete's been working out for 20 years
Yeah,
nonstop every day and getting nitpicked with every little movement.
yeah.
And so so here's a funny like concept, right? I got to intern for the Pats when I,
Okay.
when I was in school, and they do the same boring shit. Like, I wish people understood that, right? Like, they're not doing anything ridiculous and out of this world when it comes to their strength conditioning program.
Yeah.
Or in my sense, when we're doing, rehab and the athletic training side of things, they're doing stuff that looks very similar to what you might see in a physical therapy clinic, right?
Right.
So they're not doing anything. They're just getting so minusculely better every day,
Mm-hmm.
1%, so that they can continue to perform at such an elite level subconsciously. Like, I tell
Yeah.
people that too. You weren't good at driving for the first few years that you drove, no matter how cocky of a 16-year-old you were, right?
Yeah.
You probably sucked at driving.
Yeah.
You got better over time. The same thing happened when we started walking. you sucked at it at first. You had to keep doing it for months on end to learn. Like when
Right.
you squat, when you lunge, there's always something that you can do. And if you don't do it with intention of getting better, if you just go through the motions, then we're always going to be doing the same basic boring thing.
Yeah.
Um, and you're not going to see progress. But if you
Yeah.
have intention and like excitement about, okay, how can I make my squat better or my lunge better or my deadlift better, or am I actually working the muscle that I'm doing, or am I just
Right.
going through the motions? Then you'll get where you want to get.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is, obviously, like, we're not doing the same exact workout every single time. We're switching it up. There's some variety in things, but like the concepts are always the same. And one thing that I always like to add to, especially for individuals who just naturally don't really like exercise, is we kind of find a balance too of like, we have these things that are going to be great for you, going to be great for your body. They're going to help you pick up things off the floor, but then we got to find something too that you really love, right?
Mm.
And how can we combine the two, right? Like, if you like more faster paced workout, and it's like not everybody's goal is to be super strong and stuff, so we don't need to necessarily focus on that, but we want to have you moving better. We want to have your mobility. We want to make sure you're able to do the things that you want to. We want to make sure you'll be able to run around the park, and it's like, but that starts with the foundation of strength training, right? And so a lot of the stuff is going to be the same. But then I get people that ask me all the time, they're like, well, what about, like the high intensity class, or like, I like some of these workout videos and stuff. And I was like, you can do that too. Like, you can do that too. Like, it's not either or. Like, we can mix these things together. We look at athletes' workouts. I was like, we don't have the time to do what the athletes do. Like, you watch these videos of like Patrick Mahomes trainer posting these things, and I was like, you saw a 30-second clip of one of his workouts, and he's working out 6 days a week, and I was like, you have no idea what he's actually doing. And I was like, look at like a running back like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Like, you think Saquon Barkley squatted like once every month? You know what I mean? I was like, this guy's
Doing it
massive.
12 times a month. All he's doing is 5x5s, right? It's like,
Yeah.
so that's the caveat that like the people don't think about is like if we're working out 2 times, 3 times a week, like that's just enough time to hit the base principles. Never mind adding the flair and the fun stuff and the yes, we can like sprinkle that in. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's you love to do some sort of tricep exercise. Like okay, we can superset that with your squats, right? I'll make you do something you don't like that sucks, that's hard, and then you
Yeah.
can rest a little bit while you do some triceps. It's like we can finagle that, but if you want to get that big machine that Mahomes is doing the fucking side to side rotation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we can do cable rotations, right?
Yeah.
But like, we don't.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily gonna do anything crazier for you. It's the same
Right.
principle.
Right.
Create force rotationally.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
just
And it is fun sometimes to kind of mix it up, go into the majority of my workouts I do from home, but like I have access to a couple gyms near me, and so like sometimes it's just fun to kind of take a 4 week block in the year and just kind of try something different, right? To do one of the gyms close to me I go to every once in a while, and I'll go there for like a month, a couple months a year, and I kind of spread it out, and they've got just a bunch of different machines, and I'll spend a month just doing something different because we it does get a little bit, you kind of got to fall in love with the process, and you kind of have to just make it something that you do, right? You got to make it something that's a part of your life, and just kind of come to terms with that early on. Is like, this is something like, you don't get to do it for 12 weeks and then just never do it again. Like, you have great results in 12 weeks? Absolutely. Right. But if you want to maintain that, if you want to stop having to start over, you have to find something that you can stick to. And for some people, that's 2 days a week. For other people, that's 5 days a week, right? So you got to find out what's realistic for you. If you're somebody that doesn't love the gym, that's okay. You may never love the gym, and that's okay. You don't ever have to get to the point where you're going 5 days a week. But if you can get to the point where you're going, 2 days a week, you're getting a couple cardio sessions in between that, like that's and be able to sustain that, be able to maintain that like long term. That's where you want to be. You got to find something that's going to work for you.
no, I totally agree. I totally agree. What What's in your home? You have a garage gym? Home gym?
So actually, my gym is behind this. So I have my gym slash office here, and so I've got like 3 buckets full. I have way too much stuff, but I have in the garage. I have some other stuff because I ran out of room here. But I have a treadmill out there, and then in here I have a spin bike.
Nice.
Got that off Facebook Marketplace and fixed it up, and it's like brand new. It's awesome. I got a power tower. So pull up, dip bar, and everything. I got like TRX straps. I have adjustable dumbbells, Nuo Bell. They're fantastic.
Nice.
They go up to 80 pounds, which is great. I've got like a barbell, the landmine.
Nice.
So I can pretty much do everything except for like barbell bench and
Mm-hmm.
squat, things like that. But it's not a huge part of my routine anymore. But I'm still able to go. I'm still able to like. I still have access to a gym if I like. I'll go through phases where this month I'm focusing on this and stuff, and so it just takes a little bit more planning.
It's another thing to chat on though for these dads is like if your constant excuse to yourself is going to be the drive time or is going to be the I got to go to this place, then like let's talk about a solution, not the
Yeah,
problem, right? And the
right.
solution might be getting yourself, a pair of adjustable 80-pound dumbbells,
Yeah,
a bench that folds, and you know one barbell, and toss it in the corner of your
yeah,
room, and you can do some fucking landmine stuff with it with a few
yeah,
plates, right? It's like, and then simple things, bands, you can put them over a door, and you can do
mm,
lat pull downs, straight arm pull downs, tricep extensions. You can put it in the
yeah,
middle of the door, do rotations, put it at the bottom, bicep curls and chest
yeah,
press,
yeah,
cable flies, and like it for under, for under like $300 $400, you can make a pretty nice gym in the corner
yeah,
of the room that you have in your house or living room
yeah,
or in your garage.
yeah,
So that's like, if you have to be self-aware of like what's your excuse, what's your barrier of entry, and then
yeah,
are you willing to invest, right? And you should be,
right.
because if you're
Yeah,
investing the time, you should be willing to invest a little bit of money.
yeah, yeah.
And
I think Facebook Marketplace is. I've got lots of things off there. My barbell I got for $20. So I was like, I
that
was like
looks like
that.
every day. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm always on. I'm out of room though, so I'm like trading things. I'm like making deals. I was like, I got stuff stacked up in the garage I can't use because it's like, yeah. And then, like I think that's one of the most I've spent. I mean, obviously I've spent over the years. A power tower is a great investment. Pull ups, dips, push ups, things
that's
like that.
the tip bar guy sled tread thing, the power tower, or is that a? Are you
So
just
I have I'm just using power tower as kind of a general term here. So it's got pull up bar, dip bar, and then it's got like the captain's chair to do
yeah
abs and stuff, and then the tip bar guy. I do have a tip bar.
nice
I've got a what else I have? I have a
yes
Nordic attachment I bought that hooks onto my bench. I have the bench I have. You can't see it from here, but it's a Flybird. I highly recommend that bench.
mm-hmm.
It's a great bench, and it folds up.
Yep
It comes already assembled, and so I just fold it up, put it against the wall. The most I've spent on any piece of equipment are the dumbbells.
yeah
I bought the stand with it too. But if you're paying $50 for a gym membership a month, these dumbbells are going to pay themselves off in a year and a half, 2 years. You know what I mean? So
at 5 to 80 they go to.
5 to 80. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty. That not too many people are going to need two of them.
Yeah, I was like, for a home gym for most people. I mean, and then if you need 90s, just buy 290. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to buy. I love it because it doesn't. It takes up like almost no room. I've got the stand. I've got the dumbbells, and then yeah, I was like, I don't have to have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It's like I just have. And the great thing about Nuobel, I promise I'm not sponsored by Nuobel, but if they want to sponsor me, that's great. The great thing about I don't know if you've ever seen the Select Tech ones from Bowflex.
Yes, I know exactly what they are.
So those ones are pretty popular too, and I've used those. whether you use like the 5 or the 60, they're the same size. They're the same length. So they're massive. The Nuo Bell ones get smaller. So the 5 is like the size of a 5, the 80 is the size of an 80, and then it gets smaller. And all you do is turn the handle. The Select Tech ones, you got to line up the dials there.
Dude,
And
it's so
so,
annoying. I have a
yeah, it's like,
friend in his home gym. He bought those because they were black and red. That's why.
yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
Chiefs fan. There we go. No.
more so because he's got a Peloton too. So it's like
Okay.
he wanted
Match
to
it.
like look aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
I get it, but these suck. They're not like
Yeah.
sorry, both your dumbbells are not that great.
I actually ordered the Bowflex ones, and I canceled the order to order the Nuobel ones because I found the Nuobel ones,
The power
and
blocks, like the
the
traditional.
Power Blocks. Yeah, I've seen that. Yep, yep. And so the Nuobel ones, like they, yeah, I recommend them to everybody. I was like, I've had them for I don't know 2.5 years maybe, and I was like, I use them multiple times a week, and I was like,
No
they're
problem.
awesome. It's like, oh yeah, I've had no issues with them. Like they, um, yeah, I was like, I love them. I love them. I recommend them to everybody, and I was like,
That's
they're pretty great.
new
But
bills are. I'm gonna write that down real
yeah,
quick.
I believe it's a Swedish company there, but
Yeah, I've seen these now that you're talking.
yeah,
I've seen this for sure.
yeah, they're a really good one. But Dylan, I really appreciated this conversation. I know we got to dive deep on quite a few things here. I think this was really helpful. Before we wrap up here, what is kind of one takeaway where the listeners can kind of just maybe apply this week as they're starting to get back into a routine?
Love that. I like to like teach and give pointers through like a perspective because I feel like it has more of a long lasting effect rather than
Yeah,
like do X. The conversation that you have with yourself is the only conversation that never ends. Um, it's this concept that I kind of like thought of and came up with. Like, you're always going to be talking yourself in and out of the decisions that you're making.
yeah,
I'm a firm believer that every decision you make in one direction makes the next decision in that direction slightly easier, right?
yeah,
It's that compound effect. And so if you're struggling to like get the ball rolling, just really take one fucking step and push the ball. And I promise you the second step will be a little easier and the third step will be even easier, and you can gradually get the ball rolling and actually have momentum and start to love the process. And
yeah,
you know kind of in the world of fitness and nutrition, act like your life depends on it, because it does. And
mm,
that of your family as well. Everyone wants to be here for their family, watch their kids grow up, blah blah blah.
yeah,
If you're already struggling to keep up with them on the playground, then like you've already fallen behind the eight ball. You gotta get ahead of it. Otherwise, in 20 years, 30 years, when they get married, and have their own kids, you're going to be way behind the eight ball. And I know you don't want that. They don't want that. So literally act like your life depends on it. Just take that first step and keep it going.
I love that. Awesome, Dylan. Where can we find you on social media?
Dillan Foss is like the easiest one, except my name is not easy. So it's Dillan, and then Floss without the L, Foss. And then
Floss without the L.
yeah, Floss without the L. And my brand, my company is called Limitless Theory.
Okay.
And I too have a podcast that I did for years and years. I had 100+ episodes before my son was born, and now I'm picking that back up.
Oh,
I stopped
awesome.
and had the hiatus while he was, getting to 2 years old here. So I'd love to
Yeah.
have you on in the future. We could chop it up more. Uh,
Awesome. Yeah. Appreciate that.
and that's, like I said, the Limitless Theory podcast. So that's on all.
Limitless theory.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I'll get those the links, and I'll put them in the show notes so people can find you. But thank you so much for joining us today, Dylan. I think I know I got a lot out of it, and I'm sure the listeners will too. So definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Go Chiefs. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.